This is a real lost camera that was found on the grave of a girl named Valeria Márquez. Inside of it was nothing but a memory card with this one video on it. This video is 15 minutes long and will be the most realistic horror short film ever made. It's presented in a dark documentary style. In the beginning of the video, there are some eerie drone shots of the abandoned cemetery covered in fog. We pan across headstones while distant crows caw in the trees. A light breeze rustles the dead leaves on the ground. There are some close-ups of moss-covered statues, and then a wide shot of the old wrought iron fence surrounding the cemetery. The documentary crew has apparently been following rumors about this place being haunted for months. Finally, they decided to come here and investigate themselves. They arrive at night and start setting up their equipment. They tell us that if this place really is haunted, tonight is the perfect night to prove it, because a full moon is coming up soon. The clouds move away to reveal the bright, round face of the moon in the sky. They say that according to local legend, people have seen ghosts, spirits, ghouls, demons, and even otherworldly creatures roaming around in this graveyard. Some people even say that they've heard disembodied voices calling out into the foggy night. Of course, there have also been unexplained images captured in photographs and video. Many years ago, a security guard was patrolling the cemetery at night when he saw something strange. He stopped his car and went over to investigate. When he got closer, he realized that he was looking at a circle of glowing white mist. At first, he thought it might be the headlights of an oncoming car. But then he realized that there were no roads leading to this part of the cemetery. And besides, there was no one else around. So he stayed there watching it for a bit. But the glow just stood there motionless. It didn't move or change in any way. Then, after about 5 minutes, it suddenly dissipated into thin air. Now the documentary crew is walking through the cemetery, looking for the glowing white orb of mist. As they make their way through the rows of headstones, we can hear the wind rustling the dead leaves on the trees, and distant screeching and growling can be heard. Maybe it's just an animal. The camera shakes as they walk, and we can hear their breathing getting louder and more panicked. The camera falls to the ground, and we hear them run off into the darkness. When they come back, they bring a spotlight with them and shine it on a nearby tree. The light reveals a gnarled and twisted mass of branches, but then they pan down and see something weird. The roots of the tree have formed a natural archway underneath itself. They decide to go through the archway and enter what appears to be an area of the cemetery that has not been maintained for years. The grass is tall and overgrown. Ivy and vines crawl all over the ground and creep up the sides of the neglected tombstones. They find a large flat stone on the ground, and they sit on it while they try to get their bearings. A crow flies past and caws loudly. While it flies off into the darkness, we can see that its beak is stained a deep red color, perhaps with blood. They say that if they could only find that mysterious white orb of light, they would finally know whether this place is haunted or not. As they continue searching, they pan over a small headstone. It reads, "Here lies Valeria Márquez, September 1986 to April 2003. They decide to take a break and sit on the headstone while they eat some food. They say that it's probably a good thing that they brought flashlights, because they might have found the ghost of Valeria Márquez. While they're sitting there, the camera suddenly turns on by itself. It's recording in black and white. The camera pans slowly across the broken headstone. The flash from the camera startles a small bird, and it flies away squawking. The camera falls over and they scramble to pick it up. On the screen, we can see a very faint image of what looks like an emaciated hand reaching out towards them. They try to ignore it, but then they look over and see a shadow moving in front of their flashlight beam. They turn the light in that direction and reveal a gnarled and twisted tree root. But when they move the light back, the root is gone. Was it really there? The camera suddenly turns on by itself again and begins recording. They can't figure out how this is possible. They think that someone must have accidentally bumped the power button. The camera is still recording in black and white and shows a shadowy figure standing next to the tree root. They shine their flashlight in that direction again, but there's nothing there. The documentary crew are starting to freak out a little bit now. They think that whatever is haunting this place is playing with them. They say that whoever or whatever is here wants them to leave, but they're determined to stay and find out the truth. The camera falls to the ground again, and we can hear them running away in the darkness. Now, they're back at the car. They're trying to calm themselves down so that they can go back and continue filming. They say that they need to get some sleep because they've been up for days, but they can't get comfortable. They keep hearing strange noises outside of the car. Every time they look out the window, though, they can't see anything. In the morning, they wake up and decide to go back to the graveyard. They admit that they haven't slept much and are pretty tired. They're hoping that whatever entity is haunting this place will show itself again so that they can capture it on camera. The trees are bare and skeletal in the daylight. There are a few birds flying around and some squirrels scampering up the trunks of trees. They go back to the headstone and notice that the surface of it has been worn smooth by years of people rubbing it. Apparently, this is a common occurrence at haunted places. People often rub the headstones of loved ones who have died under mysterious circumstances. They believe that by doing this, some of the spirit of the deceased person will rub off onto them. The documentary crew decides to do this too, and rubs the headstone to try and attract the attention of the ghost of Valeria Márquez. They go back to the same tree and find that a lot of the vines have been pulled away from the tree root, as if someone had done this intentionally. They say that maybe the ghost of Valeria Márquez doesn't want them to find out what she died from. As they're making their way back to the car, they hear a loud cracking noise. They turn around and see that a branch has fallen off of the tree and landed at their feet. They finish packing up the car and decide to leave. The entire drive home, they're jumpy and on edge. The cameraman keeps checking the camera to see if it's recording. Suddenly, the camera turns on by itself and records another short clip in black and white. We see a pair of legs walking up a hill. Then, a shadowy figure runs across the frame. The camera falls to the ground again, and we hear them scream in terror. At their hotel room, they check the camera and realize that there's another video on it. They click play, and the camera pans across a foggy field. Then it stops abruptly, and we see the pale face of a female ghost. She's wearing a Victorian nightgown, and her hair is long and stringy. Her skin is a sickly white, and her eyes are dark and soulless. They stare directly into the camera for a few seconds. Then she turns and walks away, disappearing into the fog. Was this really the ghost of Valeria Márquez? Or was it just a figment of their imagination? What do you think?